Egyptian numerology, the Pythagorean triangle and its esoteric meaning. The Egyptian triangle. From this image, the constant relationships between the 1, as the whole structure, and 3, 4, 5 as its indivisible components are clearly shown. These numbers had a profound mystical symbolism that becomes explicit in the explanations related to the Pythagorean triangle. The Egyptian 3, 4, 5 triangle is first described by Plutarch in Moralia Vol. V. The upright, therefore, may be likened to the male, the base to the female, and the hypotenuse to the child of both, and so Alcer, Osiris, may be regarded as the origin, Alset, Isis, as the recipient, and Heru, Horus, as perfected result. The short side of the right-angled triangle is named Alcer, which corresponds to Osiris, the father. The longer side is named Alset, corresponding to Isis, the mother. And finally, the hypotenuse is called Heru, or Horus, the son. 10. Pythagorean triangle with Egyptian attributions. Figures copyright 2007 by Jeff Dahl / Wikimedia Commons. These names were assigned according to specific criteria. The upright side, 3, is likened to the male, the father Osiris. The horizontal base, 4, is related to the female, the mother Isis, and the hypotenuse, 5, corresponds to the son, Horus. The first is the origin, the second is the recipient, and the son is the result. As Plutarch describes, 3 is the first perfect odd number, 4 is a square whose side is the even number 2, but 5 is in some ways like to its father, and in some ways like to its mother, being made up of 3 and 2. And Panta, all, is a derivative of Pente, 5, and they speak of counting as numbering by fives. 5 makes a square of itself. 12. Pythagoras' contribution. Pythagoras' contribution, 6th century BCE, consisted in translating this concept into the mathematical statement, as we would write it today, A2 plus B2 equals C2, in which the square of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is equal to the sum of the squares on the other two sides. Pythagoras spread this notion by means of his teachings at the school of Crotona in southern Italy. The geometrical and mathematical demonstration of the Pythagorean theorem is explained by sacred geometrician Robert Lawler in relation to the mnemonic expansion. 13. The contemplation of this figure leads to an understanding of one of nature's most common forms of growth by accretion or accumulative increase, in which the old form is contained within the new. This is the way the more permanent tissues of the animal body, such as bones, teeth, horns and shells develop, in contrast to the soft tissue which is discarded and replaced. This method of figuring the gnomon shows its relationships to the Pythagorean formula. Shown here is the mnemonic increase from the square surface area of 4 to square of 5, where the gnomon of the larger square 5 is equal to 1/4 of the initial square of 4. Kepler, the famous astronomer and formulator of the laws of planetary motion, stated, "Geometry has two great treasures. One is the theorem of Pythagoras, the other is the division of a line into mean and extreme ratios, that is phi, the golden mean. The first may be compared to a measure of gold, the second to a precious jewel." This concludes Part 3 of Egyptian Numerology, the Pythagorean Triangle and its esoteric meaning. Stay tuned for Part 4, and while you're here, go and get your free numerology reading down below in the descriptions part of the page.